This is a big lesson, and I'm going to split it into two videos. A couple things you will find throughout the second volume of your MyMath book is there are a couple of topics in 5th grade math that they only give one little lesson to. But the topics are so much more important than that and need more than one lesson. The first topic we're going to speak about is an example of that, and that is order of operations. Order of operations is very, very important and very, very useful. In fact, it's one of the first things you're going to be tackling in 6th grade when you get there. So we're going to be learning about it with whole numbers in 5th grade. And I'm going to do two videos on it. The first video, I'll talk about order of operations, lesson 2. And in the second video, we'll talk about the assignment and how I want you to tackle that. So let's get started. Order of operations. In this portion of the 5th grade math course, now that we've tackled quite a number of types of questions, when you come upon a question, the first thing I want you to do is stop and do a little bit of what I call question analysis. And that is, you look at the question and you ask yourself, what kind of question is this? Sometimes it's really straightforward. Oh, it's addition of decimals. And then you think about, okay, so what do I know about addition of decimals? And then your mind should go to the information that you've learned and your notes, if need be. So when you are looking at a question, you will know that it is an order of operations question because it will have several operations. What's an operation? Well, there are 4 kinds of operations in math: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But there's also a couple more things thrown in there too. So, here's an example of why order of operations is so important. Let's say we have this question. Now we can tell it's order of operations because we have all 4 of the operations in the question, right? So there are many different answers to this question. What? Yeah, totally. Here's an example. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Minus 4 is 28. Divided by 4 is 7. Okay? There's the answer, 7. But what if I decided to do it this way? 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 4 take away 1 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. Okay. Well, what if, you see, depending on the order that you do your calculations, it will give you a different answer. Now, the fabulous people of mathematics figured this out, and they said, we can't have this. We can't have people going to the bank to deal with their money and one person saying, no, it's $7, and the other person saying, no, it's 16. Like there's a huge difference there. So they had to come to an agreement as to what order will we do the operations so we can all get agreement and we all come up with the same answer. And so what they came up with is something called PEMDAS. What? Now, there's lots of different ways to remember this, but let me explain to you first what it is. It is the order of operations. And PEMDAS is the first letter in each of the words that you do your order of operations. So when you have a question that is an order of operations question, that is, it has many operations in it, you first do the operations that are in parentheses. Parentheses are a fancy way of saying brackets, okay? And we'll talk about parentheses. Next, you do any of the exponents you happen to have, and we know about exponents. Then you multiply or divide, depending on whichever one comes first when you're working left to right. That's important. Finally, you do addition or subtraction, again, whichever comes first as you are working left to right. Now, to remember this, there's lots of ways to remember it. You can think of PEMDAS, which doesn't mean anything, or here's a rhyme that probably your parents will still remember from their 5th grade classrooms. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So this is called a mnemonic, which is a silly rhyme that helps you remember stuff. That's what a mnemonic is. And that helps you to remember the first letter of each of the order of operations. Now, as you are starting to work with order of operations, it's a really good idea to write PEMDAS and use it as a list. Do I have any parentheses? Let's do that on this question. Do I have any parentheses? No, I don't. Do I have any exponents? Nope. Do I have any multiplication or division? Well, yes, I do. Oh. See, I told you, this will be a bit of a long one. Yes, I do. So the first thing you do is you come across your first operation, which is this multiplication. I underlined it. Then, in your next line, you do that thing right there. You do one thing per line. Trust me. One thing per line. So once you've done that one thing, you look for the next thing. I have a division. I underline that. In my next line, I do that one thing. Then I look for my next operation, which will be addition, because it comes first, working left to right. I underline it. Then I do it. Finally, my last one gives me my final answer. Now, look at the beautiful shape of this question. It forms the V. Isn't that amazing? Now, you might think, oh, I could have done that in my head. Yeah, you can. But if you want to take a quick gander at the questions on page 489, can you do those in your head? Probably not. I'm going to teach you this way to do that assignment. So join me for my next video, part 2 of lesson 2. See you soon.